Structure and fluidity are part of our daily lives, and it is this composition that makes life interesting and the premise of our episode on Luxe Interiors today. We will show you how to use the structure of geometry and the unrestrained nature of graphical design and animation in your homes.
Enter an apartment that combines geometry and graphical art. Interesting buys listed out for you. Some of the most geometrical buildings you have seen. And how to jazz up your wall with graphic artwork.
You may think geometry is too busy and graphical art too loud to have in your homes. But what if we showed you that you could use them either independently or in a combination? Interior designer and architect Annkur Khosla has this perfect example.
Annkur Khosla Design Studio, run by architect and interior designer Annkur, has a range of interesting projects across India to boast of. Attention to design and detail while adding soulfulness to the project is the firm's motto.
This particular project that we are showcasing is based in Bangalore for a young entrepreneur who wanted an eclectic apartment. Befitting her brief, we have designed an apartment which is very young in outlook, very expansive and extremely well detailed. The living room is very sculptural and geometric. It is art in the most unique of places.
The mix of geometry, art and graphical illustrations can be seen in the furniture that is juxtaposed against the artwork and graphic walls, all within the same space.
As soon as we enter, we notice this entire huge graphic wall which is inspired by a New York City skyline. This is really done in reference with the fact that the client has relocated from the States to India.
The graphical wall is contrasted with the geometric center table. Intertwined metal rods run across the length of the table to support it while forming prism structures along the way. The blue top speaks the same language with prisms carved into the wood. The table is placed on a graphical Google mapped carpet which has been customized to point the location of the apartment. Another expression of geometry can be seen in the bookshelf that also forms part of the railing. The shelf, which is inspired by a tree, narrows down at the top to mimic a thin branch. The staircase has another interesting feature, its underside, which of course forms the canvas for this elaborate artwork. Geometry is in the glass side table too. While the form is simple, it's the mix of color here that brings the table alive. While the living room is filled with color, the adjacent room is a serene white. Structure and geometry are brought into this area with the pendant light and the hexagonal chair, which is furnished with multicolored hexagonal fabric pieces sewn together. The side table is another element of geometry in this space. Ankur's favorite part of this area though is the sculpted bench which forms part of its artwork.
It is so beautifully stretched out of the wall that you could literally miss it. And it has folds at the corners which makes it literally look as if it's like fabric.
The dining area of the home is set against the background of the living space. Color is brought into the space with the bright red chairs around the wooden table. With this lamp fixture, geometry makes it to the ceiling too.
The highlight of the dining area is the spider lamp from the brand called Mui, which stealthily creeps out of the ceiling. Just a tip for all our viewers, if you're really fascinated with geometry, you need not be too literal with it. You can use it even in your own innovative style.
Like the design of the study room, which is all about having fun with geometry. Crisscross wooden slats climb up the wall, forming a trellis. And while you may think those are a stack of books, it is actually an accent wallpaper. Old Coke boxes, which act as tables with storage, bring in color and additional quirk into this room. At the upper level of the penthouse is the master bedroom. It is the 4-poster canopy bed here that draws one's attention. Inspired by a palm tree and painted green in keeping with the concept, the canopy brings in color and calm into the room. And no prizes for guessing where the bathroom in this room is situated.
We wanted to create the entry of the bathroom as a surprise element, and it has been very well concealed in the paneling of the master bedroom. As soon as you step into the bathroom, you realize that it's linked to a terrace and you have the luxury to step out and sip a glass of wine.
The guest bedroom furthers the concept of geometry and nature with the artwork on the wall and the ceiling. A mix of various inspirations with geometry and graphical elements at the core of it, this apartment displays how various themes can coexist in harmony.
Geometry is a theme that can be used across surfaces, on walls, floors, fabrics and furniture. But how do you combine it all? How much is too much? Let us show you how.
Let's start with geometric patterns of flooring design. These are no new invention. Remember walking in through old constructions and soaking in the granite and marble combinations? From stone to concrete to wooden floors. The geometry is in the laying out of materials and the prints in concrete tiles. If the charm of natural stone is what you prefer, the combination of granite and marble or light and dark marbles are ideal. These can be laid out in squares or even in floral patterns. Parquetry, or the geometrical way of laying out wooden flooring, is your next option. While this has largely been a Western concept, there are a whole range of options available in India. It is a good idea to get acquainted with the patterns of laying these out. The first, herringbone. Like the skeleton of the fish and the stitch you learnt in school, this design has overlapping pieces of wood laid out at acute angles. This is the most common style of wooden floors. A variation of this style is a chevron pattern, where the planks don't overlap but connect tip to tip at a common center. Parquet includes a variation of designs like star mosaic, the cross, chantilly, hexagon, and others. Parquet is not a maintenance nightmare as you might assume. If the blocks loosen, they can be glued back by an expert. Some of the most interesting floor designs can be seen in concrete tiles, and the effect of these can range from vintage to bold and contemporary. Bold. That is the key word with this option. The design is a placement of right-angled triangles which seem obtuse as your eye travels the length of the floor. The effect is an optical illusion on your floor. The hexagon is another very popular geometric pattern. From soft pastel tints to neutral colors, this design is inspired by a honeycomb. If cubism and optical illusions have intrigued you, you will love the cube pattern. Combining boxes of 3 different colors, these designs are 3D and the options range from greys to brighter colors.
How do you balance the theme being used on the floor and the walls? Here are our tips. If your flooring is overwhelming, keep the walls simple. If you don't want to play around with permanent structures like the floor, use some rugs, wallpaper, or even furnishings.
The easiest way to bring geometry into your room without changing the floor is throwing rugs like these ones on it. The choice is endless. You could go with a flair of Art Deco. This style of the 20th century is seen in these hand-knotted geometric rugs from Cocoon Fine Rugs. These are perfect for a home styled lavishly. Entwined is your next option. This design is available across brands and works very well with a contemporary styled home. We love that geometry occasionally comes in a hand-drawn appearance here. If you like bright, happy colors and still want the bold look of geometry, try these rugs from the Rug Republic. They will transform a quiet space in an instant. For a geometric but less on-your-face style, go with these rugs that remind you of Indian and African tribal artwork. And then there are reversible rugs in beautiful colors and patterns that are extremely practical. When you don't have the time to get your carpet cleaned, simply flip it. And finally, if you prefer subtlety, try these options of monochromatic rugs that will suit your temperament perfectly. Let's move on to furnishing and wallpapers now. Depending on the extent to which you want to go geometric in your space, you could go with subtle combinations in subdued shades or bright clashing prints. When going subtle, use softer shades for your sofas and curtains and combine it with one wall or all walls in single shade wallpapers. Throw in shears for a light effect. However, if you want the prints and geometrical patterns to stand out, you could opt for the same fabrics in brighter hues. You could also pick bright wallpapers like these. Our tip when it comes to bringing geometry on your surfaces is, small apprehensive moves are ineffective. Go big and bold.
From the precision and structure of geometry to the energy that graphic illustration and animation brings to a space, we get an artist to show us how.
Hi, I'm Jazz Charanjiva, street artist and co-founder of Culture Shop.
Jazz Charanjiva's work is characterized by quirk and a youthful energy. If you had to get this element of fun into your space, how would you do it? Simply get a compilation of artwork. What Joss recommends is that you choose frames and art of different sizes to mix and match. So what if you cannot paint? All you have to do is source some cool artwork and voila!
So as you can see, this looks clean, balanced, and feels like a real collection. And something like this can instantly liven up your room.
Structures that are unmistakably geometrical and must-haves for your home. After the break.